I'm Keon.
And I'm Steven.
And this is Inevitable, that podcast with a Doctor Who cameo, because this week we watched A Question of Priorities.
Written by Tony Barwick.
Directed by David Lane.
And aired on October 14th, 1970. Sup, Steven?
The Doctor Who cameo is Steven Shinder.
Yes, I'm very well known for my appearances on Doctor Who.
Yeah, I mean, you're telling me that wasn't you in the Absorbaloff suit?
Oh man, I wish. I unironically love Love and Monsters.
What?
It's hilarious.
You're off the podcast. It's kicked off. Keon and I are going to finish this episode without you.
Yeah,
no, it's a hilarious episode. I don't know what people are on about.
Hilariously bad.
Yeah, just kick us to the pavement, why don't you?
Wow.
No, I was going to make more puns and references to What's-Her-Face getting turned into a slab of stone, but I couldn't think of any.
Yeah, you couldn't think of anything concrete.
Yeah, exactly.
Just end me. Just end me right now.
Yeah, like I was going to say thanks for inviting me despite my superhero movie opinions.
Yeah.
Which are what? That they're bad?
No, that there should be more.
What? Okay, so we have the full gamut here. I think Keon is like, there should be less. I'm on the side of we should just stop right now. We have the right amount. And Steven out here, like, Steven woke up and chose violence.
Chaotic evil.
No, superhero movies need to be like comic books in that they need to be more frequent, more convoluted, and alienate the normies so that only the true fans will inherit.
Yeah, just more gate kept. I actually agree with that. If superhero movies go in that direction, then I'm 100% in agreement.
I'm mostly kidding, just so people know. But
oh, damn.
Sure, why not?
Damn, Steven, got us again. Steven out there, like, zing, got him. Well,
yeah.
You know, Steven, I can see why you chose to be on this episode of the podcast, of the show, this episode of UFO. It's because this is the most depressing episode of UFO.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was the third episode in the order I watched. Like the first two were the same as the order you guys are watching, and then like I started the third one and I realized that like, oh, the order was different, but I didn't want to shut it off because right from the get-go, it just drew me in. Like, the intro was amazing.
Well, this definitely, I think, it's definitely the most, like, enthralling episode of UFO yet.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorites.
Wait, so, Steve, have you watched the whole show, or, like, how many have you watched? More than us, right?
Oh, yeah, I finished a few days ago.
Okay, so you didn't watch the whole thing.
Yeah, Shadow Library posits that this takes place concurrently with Exposed.
Wait, what?
Which one was Exposed?
Exposed was the one that
episode
recruits.
2.
Yeah, episode 2. Yeah, Shadow Library posits that Foster was injured in Exposed, and then, like, while Foster was, I guess, in the coma, and like before he gets recruited to Shadow, basically the entire 1 day span of this episode takes place, which I guess I can buy.
Yeah, I can buy it, but like, what difference does it make? You know, like, who cares? Like, it doesn't really matter where it takes place. So
it only matters in so much as like it explains why Foster is just not in this episode. Like, because it does kind of feel like perhaps this episode might have played out differently if they had like an extra kind of agent roaming around that they could send to investigate something or send to get the drugs, you know, like it does kind of feel like if Foster was around, this episode might have taken a little bit different of a course. Maybe.
Well, speaking of random pilots or other operatives, shout out to Peter Carlin in one of his like 8 appearances. Again, just having like one scene where he just goes like Roger and pilot Sky 1.
Well, he's got.
No, I know.
That makes for a funny joke, but he's got a whole actual scene where he's like got to command the ground troops in this episode.
Yeah, I know. I'm exaggerating, but still, his role seems, compared to like, I guess it's just because in the first episode he had a more expanded role. It felt to me like he was going to be a more important character.
You're telling me he's not your favorite character, Peter Carlin?
No, I wasn't saying that, but no, I'm just kidding. He's not. My favorite character is actually John Rutland.
Oh, God. You mean John Straker? The most surprising part of this episode was how Straker seemed like somehow unaware that, I guess, his ex-wife had changed his son's last name. But anyway.
That just goes to show you how estranged he truly is.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, in some ways I kind of wonder if that's his job, or if it's just, like, also his ex-wife being like, you can only see John once a month. Or maybe it's just the custody arrangement. Maybe he's forced into being that estranged. I don't know. We don't know. There are so many questions that are never going to get answered.
Well,
so many questions of priorities, you might say.
It is heavily, I mean, we can get into it in a little bit here, but like it's pretty heavily indicated that like Straker's job is what caused the rift between him and his wife and caused their divorce and stuff like this.
Straker's secret job.
I know, and we don't really know, like, did God, what was her name? It was Mary, right? Yeah, Mary.
Yeah.
Like,
Mary
does
Rutland.
she know? She doesn't. I'm guessing no, but we don't ever figure out. Does she know about Shadow and stuff like this?
I don't believe she knows. I mean, based on what we see in the episode, I don't believe she knows.
Right, and that just that kind of puts their relationship into a different perspective too, because it's like from her perspective, she believes that like Straker was basically neglecting their family so he could produce films, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Like what? Mm-hmm. Like, man, that must suck so much for Mary. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, there is a later episode that's essentially a flashback episode that goes into the details of like their marriage and how that ended up.
Is that Confetti Check A-OK?
Yeah, that's another of my favorites.
Nice. Yeah,
that's
one comes up
to me.
That one comes up quite often. Apparently that one's like about the founding of Shadow, and I guess takes place concurrently with Identified because of that. Or it takes place within completely Identified.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you'll see.
Eventually. We probably won't even see on that one until fully July, because that's in the second half of the season, and we're going to get interrupted by Doctor Who before we get back.
Curse you, Doctor Who!
So, well, I guess we should explain some of the plot of the episode here. Someone's getting strangled.
Yeah, after coming out of a red TARDIS.
Shout out to Twitch watches Doctor Who from like 2019 or whatever, 2018, whenever they watched it. And then I'll never forget when Twitch watches Doctor Who got to color, and like people were like, "Wait, the TARDIS is blue? I thought it was red."
Again, an understandable like misunderstanding to have, because like call boxes in the UK are blue now. I mean, red now. Excuse me.
No, yeah, red. Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. Does Harrington Straker Studios make Doctor Who?
Oh my god. I mean, Harrington Straker Studios just produces all like classic British sci-fi that we've watched for Inevitable.
I mean, if it's 1980, they'd be toward the end of the fourth Doctor's run, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, this has nothing to do with the episode. Every time I remember the Fourth Doctor went into the 80s, I'm surprised, no matter how many times I recall it. But whatever.
Right, so this woman is supposedly getting strangled by some guy with a stocking over his head. And there's this boy who seems to be watching, and he sort of think, oh, is he mind controlling the guy who's strangling her, or is he
the cat with 10 lives?
Or is he just a witness? And it's like, what's going on?
Luckily, this turns out to just be them filming something. Some sort of movie or TV show, currently unclear.
Yeah, it was pretty hilarious because I honestly didn't know at first, and then there was that cut.
No, neither did I. I mean, there's no way you could really know. Well, Straker turns to the kid and goes, "Like that, son of mine? You're my son, and this is exposition." Straker's son also has like the same haircut as him, pretty much,
and the same like bleach blonde hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they take a little jaunt around the film studio, and reinforcing the fact that Harrington Straker made Doctor Who, they drive around in Bessie for a while.
Yeah, there's our Doctor Who cameo for the week. The only week where we get one, actually.
Well, I mean, depends if you count all those actor and actresses who've acted in Doctor Who as cameos, which I don't know why you would count them as a cameo, but like you could, I guess.
But yeah, they're basically driving around in this old-timey yellow car.
Then they drive around in a fire truck.
And yeah, it's like having fun driving vehicles. What could possibly go wrong?
I know, in a way, this is definitely preempting what's about to happen.
So yeah, well, so they're driving home, and we get a setup for the concurrent plot thread of this episode, which is two UFOs coming screaming into the screaming into the solar system.
Right.
And we
You're
learn
going way too fast. Yeah.
We learn how bad moon-based defenses are because they miss both UFOs.
Well, it is indicated that like both of them are going way faster than pretty much anyone has ever seen before.
Yeah, but that doesn't excuse the moon-based interceptors from missing both UFOs plus the second one a second time in this episode.
Yes, it does, actually.
Well, the second time in this episode, the UFO is coming in at completely normal speeds.
They're still excused in my books. Well, anyway, I think, yeah, like you mentioned, they miss the UFOs, and they think they just, like, crashed, I guess, like, because they were coming in so fast. There's no way they could have landed.
Well, one of them does crash.
Yeah, one of them does crash.
It crashed. And actually, the second UFO, again, like, moon-based interceptors kind of suck, like, pulls off and, like, slows down when the other one enters the atmosphere.
Yeah, what you see as an audience that it lands, and there's sort of a smaller ship that emerges from it. So
yeah, anytime an UFO crashes in the show, I find it hilarious for some reason.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah. What are some other ways that you can pronounce UFO/UFO? There's UFO, like you just said, I guess. So there's
yeah. Should have just called this show UFO.
What? Like, it sounds like the 70s sitcom version of this show.
Yeah.
So pretty much just exactly
studio
what it is.
audience.
Yeah.
You call this a sitcom? You think this is funny? Keon, you think child murder is funny? Wow.
It is well, I was going to say, like, it's sitcom-esque in that it's episodic, and like I was thinking that this is probably not going to be brought up again, but apparently that's not the case. Well, maybe it is. I don't know. Based on what Steven said earlier, Steven, you mentioned
right.
that they
there are about 2 episodes where the ending of this gets brought up, but it's like very briefly, and like I do wish that this show like overall had like I utilized it more. Like I felt like if UFO were made today, it would be this thing that constantly haunts Straker, but the show is so episodic that you often forget that he had a son, and then you think about it as like, oh yeah, he had a son. That's, yeah, sucks that happened. Pretty sad.
Yeah, like a lot of British shows of this era, it's just like you'll have something like this where it's like a life-changing event for a character, like their child dying, and then the show will just drop it. It'll barely be brought up again, if at all.
I guess in universe, one could justify that it's Straker like trying to bury himself in his work and maintaining a stoic resolve. Like what's weird about Straker to me is that he always seems alien to me for some reason. I think it's because of how cold he seems, which I guess makes it pretty ironic that they're fighting aliens.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even have to be Straker, like, absorbing himself in his work. It could just be Straker trying to keep his home life and work life separate. He doesn't even tell anybody in Shadow that that transport has life-saving medication for his son, who is currently dying in the hospital, like, while he's currently dying. So it's really not that much of a stretch to believe he wouldn't bring it up again after his son has passed away.
Yeah, and what you guys are mentioning is actually like what this episode is about, right? Is like this entire scenario would have been prevented. You could even argue that like maybe that his divorce would have been prevented if he was more willing to integrate these people on like both sides of his life, or just be more open, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So sucks to suck, I guess. That was my favorite line from Alec Freeman at the end when Straker reveals that his son dies, and he just goes, "Sucks, man." I'm kidding, that doesn't happen. Well, anyway, Straker is now in another car. It's his, have we seen this before? It's like his,
Yeah, we've seen this. It's in the intro.
Yeah. It's his car.
I don't think I've ever noticed how hilarious the steering wheel is, though.
Oh, what? I didn't notice that. What? How is it hilarious?
Well, it's like a cone. You know, steering wheels. If you think of your steering wheel in your car now, it's a wheel, and it's attached to kind of, I guess, the dashboard in the center, right? And the one in Straker's car is like a wheel that's like connected by spokes in a cone shape to the dashboard. It's like he's basically holding like a traffic cone almost, but made of metal.
Huh. That's really weird. I didn't notice that at all.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it now, and that is kind of weird. Like, I've only ever taken note of how the exterior looks strange to me. It's got like this futuristic Art Deco style to it, I guess.
Right.
Did you guys also like hear this? Like the sound editing on his car makes it kind of sound like it's electric.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's driving his son back home, and they live out in like the middle of nowhere. It's, you know, out in the woods or something like this. So it's sort of out of the way.
Yeah, and
he
his
gets
son,
to his.
Well, his son is going to show him like this model boat that Straker bought for him that he's built. So Straker is talking with his ex-wife. He's like, yeah, you know, like John wants to show me something. And so I'm just going to wait for that. And she's like, I think you should go.
Right. And then you find out that she has remarried. Because the new husband like comes out and kind of just gives Straker like this stink eye sort of, and from afar. They basically live in like a mansion too. Like, I don't know if you guys kind of noticed that, but like, yeah.
I mean, any house in the middle of the woods is gonna look like a mansion. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah,
you've got so much land there to work with. So,
and Straker, I think, he obviously knows he has to go for multiple different reasons, and so he's just like, all right, later then. so he leaves, not knowing what's about to happen. John,
yeah, like,
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say we see like there's some blue car coming, and then that's when John starts running out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's running out. He's trying to show Straker the boat that he built, and he runs into the middle of the road, gets hit, gets sent flying, dies on impact. No, I'm just kidding. That doesn't happen. It's in a way it's funny how it's done, because it's like the guy who hit him comes out and he's like, oh my god, like I didn't see, there was no way I could have stopped, you have to believe me, and they just like push him out of the way.
Yeah, Straker shoves him away. It's like he might as well just have not had that actor in this episode.
Yeah, that's true.
No, we needed to bring some levity to the moment. The Anorak Zone. The Anorak Zone in their ranking of UFO episodes places this number 2, and in their first paragraph, like, basically says, like, yeah, you kind of feel some sympathy for Straker because he's put in this position of having to save his son, even though it was entirely, like, his ex-wife's fault that his son even got injured in the first place.
No, I wouldn't place blame on anyone for what happened here. This was just like a confluence of like a bunch of unfortunate things happening at once.
Well, I mean,
if anyone, I would blame the driver.
I go back and watch the scene where John like goes running out, and you watch Mary just kind of like watch him like run out into the street. She like makes no effort.
She
to
doesn't
stop
do
him
anything.
At all.
Maybe she was planning on this happening. Maybe she was trying to get John out of the way. I don't know.
Wow.
She's like, I want to cut all ties with my ex-husband. I want all reminders of him out of my life.
Yeah, I know. I'm just looking at John as like, it's looking at like a mini Straker or something like this. So
I don't really place like a lot of blame on Mary. I am kind of making a little bit of a joke here, but at the same time, like, she really did just like watch John run out into the road and like do absolutely nothing to stop him. Like, doubly so knowing that she had told Ed to leave, and like she knows Ed is driving away, so John's not gonna be able to catch up to Ed. Like,
I guess you could also read it as maybe she realized she was wrong and she's like letting him catch up to his dad, and maybe his dad would see him in the rearview mirror or something. But
his dad did see him in the rearview mirror just after he got bounced down the road.
Song that turned to roadkill. Jesus.
There's a movie that I watched called The Lost of Sheila that opens with the titular Sheila, this man's wife, getting hit by a car and dying. And later in the movie, this one character has this hilarious line where she's like, oh yeah, that was the night Sheila got bounced into the bushes. And that's like, I just keep thinking of that about John. Like, oh yeah, that was the day John got bounced into the bushes.
Yeah, into the gravel street. Road, rather.
So they take John to the hospital in this very hearse-looking ambulance.
Oh my god, you're right. It's sort of, I guess it's like a British country ambulance where it's not actually designated as an ambulance except for like a tiny little cross like pasted onto it.
It's like the ambulance that got turned into the Ecto-1 in Keanu's favorite movie, Ghostbusters, 1984.
Mm-hmm, yeah. It's also the most like British rush to the hospital scene ever, because it's very low-key and nobody's actually rushing.
Just going for a little jaunt down the road.
They get to the hospital. The hospital also, just like everything in UFO, like you mentioned, Stephen, it looks like this sort of very 60s / early 70s like Art Deco, I guess what you would now call like retro future hospital. It looks like pretty cool. So hey, if you're gonna die, might as well at least die in a swanked out hospital.
Die with style.
I know, exactly. A complete contrast with Mrs. O'Connor's abode. Mrs. O'Connor, a Brit living alone on the west coast of Ireland. She seems to be living on some sort of remote, abandoned island, it looked like, if the sets were any indication. Not actually abandoned, because there's at least one other inhabitant nearby. That being the Doctor. From Doctor Who.
Yeah, from Doctor Who. Check out Trust Your Doctor, a Doctor Who podcast.
Anyway, Mrs. O'Connor is this woman who owns a parrot and is blind and has a lot of
macaw.
Yeah, it's a macaw. A macaque? No, I don't know. I don't even know what a macaque is. I think it's like a monkey. But anyway, her place looks very interesting. It's sort of very cluttered, and it definitely looks like an old person's house. So, especially a blind
Shocking,
old person's house.
Because it is an old person's house.
Yeah, a blind old person's house too. There's a lot of stuff everywhere. It's sort of anti-minimalist, maximalist, I guess you could say.
Maximalist.
Yeah. Maybe she's a hoarder. You don't know.
No, yeah. What's that show? Extreme Hoarder? Or I think it's just Hoarders.
Yes, I think it's
Hoarders.
Yeah. I've watched so much of that show, to be honest.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
It's not even sci-fi, Keon.
Yeah, it's probably like that extreme cheapskates phase that Keon also went through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just remember Keon telling me about the person who cooked a lasagna at the top of their dishwasher.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that sounds like something that should be featured on Cooking with Trust Your Doctor.
Jesus, no. I don't even own a dishwasher.
In a way, those shows are designed to like make you feel better about your own habits, because like you might be pretty bad down like the hoarding or extreme cheapskates route, and then you just watch the show and you're like, well, at least I'm not as bad as this person, you know?
I guess, yeah. Some of those shows I also feel like are like a little bit like rage bait, you know? They're like they play it up for the cameras to make you feel that way, or like to make you like question like, how can someone live this way, you know?
Oh yeah, I don't doubt that they like make it worse, and the people are definitely acting, even if they really do live like that. Like the lines that they're saying are pre-made for them, you know. So, but anyway, that has nothing to do with this.
Pre-made.
Yeah, pre-written, prescribed, whatever.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the writer of this episode, who was the writer of this episode?
Tony Barwick.
Tony Barwick just basically now contrives the perfect situation where only Ed Straker, of all people, can save John's life. So basically John is like, okay, so John had to have surgery, but there's a bacterial infection, and John also just so happens to be allergic to, like, I guess, the most antibiotics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this does make this the most science-fictional episode of UFO yet, because it introduces the science topic of antibiotics, which at the time were not that old, right? Antibiotics, I think, were only like about 100 years old in the 1970s. Maybe a little older than that. And it's like
I guess penicillin was discovered in 1928.
Okay, so they're even younger.
That's like the big antibiotic that really like created that field almost.
Yeah, well, I think bacteria weren't even discovered until like the 1800s. So I think, yeah, I don't know. What was I going to say about that? I was going to say something, but whatever, I can't remember. So.
Anyway, I really sympathized with John here because I'm actually allergic to penicillin. So I'm actually allergic to at least one antibiotic. Not all of them, but I am allergic to the most common one.
Yeah, I was going to say, this episode also, this is what we can look forward to in real life, because one day, maybe not soon, maybe not even in our lifetimes, but one day there will come a day when, antibiotics don't work anymore. Because bacteria will just be resistant to them.
The great news is that hopefully by that point we've developed nanomachines that we can just use to destroy the bacteria directly, and that definitely won't evolve to take over the world.
Or not evolve to take over the world, but just be used for nefarious purposes, right?
Bioweapons.
Yeah. Well, already there are bacteria that are immune to all known antibiotics, and people are dying from them, so hell yeah.
We created this world.
Yeah.
I guess so. I know you mentioned that they live in a mansion, Mary and her new husband, but I guess they're also just actually just rich. Because Mr. Rutland, I don't actually know his first name. Oh, Stephen Rutland is
hey.
Because the doctor explains that the doctor explains that there is an experimental American drug that they could use, and Stephen Rutland's well, I'll just charter a private jet and we can get it here real quick, right? And the doctor's yeah, I don't think that'll be quick enough. I guess implying that I guess they're just the Rutlands are just rich, actually rich, and it's not just their big house isn't just because they're in the country and have a lot of land.
They're not sitting in their empty mansion just being damn, we blew all our money on this place.
The Nick Cage maneuver.
Yeah, contrary to the last name, they do not live in a rut.
No.
What if I just kicked you off the Skype call, Steven? Thanks to the fact that we record these remotely over Skype, I can just kick you off at any moment. I mean, conversely, you could also just kick me off at any moment. So we're in this sort of stalemate Cold War where we all just trust each other not to do that.
Yeah, where we all just trust your doctor.
Yeah, I wouldn't kick anyone off. I would just leave of my own accord.
Yeah, speaking of Cold War, I recently started watching Star Cops and I've been listening to those early inevitable episodes.
Yeah, back when the show was a good.
The show's still good, Keon. We just had a dip in quality in the Lex era.
It was so odd hearing, it makes sense in context, but hearing Dylan say, I can't wait for the Soviet Union to come back, not.
Oh my god.
Yeah, aged really well.
Shout out to Ukraine.
Yeah, that aged like mushroom milk, but anyway, Star Cops was not at all what I was expecting it to be. I'm only 4 episodes in, but I thought it was gonna be this futuristic, set in deep space type of shows, or Battlestar Galactica, because the title sounds silly. I thought it was gonna be silly sci-fi in deep space.
Nope.
Star Cops is I think by far the most serious show we've watched on Inevitable. Star Cops takes its premise completely dead seriously.
Yeah, I mean, the intro where, there's that fire is pretty intense, but then seeing someone do, a flip at the end of that sequence just kind of took me out of it.
I mean, there's Davis as, an entire character, and that entire episode where, they shut down the moon base, and, everyone got extremely horny. If you remember that.
I completely forgot about that, but thank you for revitalizing my memory.
And then there was the final episode where the plan was to plant evidence that some ancient civilization was from Mars and wait a couple years for some people to dig it up.
Yeah, they basically go to Mars. Chris Boucher's plan for the next season of the show was allegedly to have them go to Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to take like months, if not years, to get there, and have them like have a massive communications delay and basically be isolated from Earth.
I also love the intro music. Like it does give me that Enterprise intro energy that Dylan also mentioned. But yeah, like when I found out it was Justin Hayward, I was like, oh yeah, that's cool, from Moody Blues. There are like some Moody Blues and Yes, another prog rock connection. So I thought that was cool.
Hell yeah. I just like that the Star Cops operate out of literally a closet. Like the office is literally the closet.
Yeah, it was a big surprise to me how, like, in those early Inevitable episodes, apparently UFO was going to be, like, season 3, and now it's, like, season 9 of the show.
We took a break to watch some shows of questionable quality.
What did we watch? Children of the Stones second, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
What did we do third?
Sapphire and Steel.
Oh yeah, because I think like one of our fans was like, "Hey, watch Sapphire and Steel," and we were like, "Okay."
Yeah, you guys also mentioned Star Maidens at some point. I think that's like the only one you haven't done.
I think we consistently mention that as a joke. I hope.
No, I think we were pretty serious about watching it. It's probably still on the list.
I think it is.
It has Gareth Thomas in it.
That's not necessarily a mark of quality. There were some rough episodes of Blake 7.
Check out Zenith, a Blake 7 podcast.
All right,
I'm still going through those.
Oh, really? Thanks.
Yeah, but anyway, back to the episode.
Yeah, where the heck were we in the episode?
So Straker,
the hospital scene.
Yeah, Straker orders basically a transport to take off from New York with the medicine ASAP.
Right. Meanwhile, I think throughout all of this interspersed, we've gotten scenes of the crashed or the stranded alien kind of setting up its base of operations. In what's her face O'Connor's home, if I remember correctly.
Side note: interestingly, Star Maidens is not on the list. I'm looking at the list right now, and Star Maidens is not on here.
Well, it could be in an ideal world.
Star Maidens. There we go. I added it.
Hell yeah! Now we're in an ideal world. The best of all possible worlds.
I mean, as long as it's not ahead of Cowboy Bebop.
All right, anyway, so Mrs. O'Connor's meets the alien, an alien. She doesn't meet the alien. The alien just kind of barges into her house.
Right. This is where we learn she's blind, although, like, explicitly.
It's really obvious.
It's pretty obvious because she has some, like, extreme cataracts.
It's also, she's, like, navigating her house by feeling around for all the furniture.
Yeah, also she's wearing glasses and has a white cane. No, she doesn't.
I was kind of reminded of Frankenstein and the novel Red Dragon with like her situation.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Damn, Red Dragon, deep cut.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Deep cut.
Another Frankenstein connection, this time to the monster / the movie. The alien, like the other aliens we've seen, has sort of a green, complexion.
Blue-green face.
Yeah, sort of.
Even though his hands are not. His hands are like regular, kind of, just like a human skin shade.
Right. He sort of has a pea-colored complexion about his face and doesn't speak. Obviously, I guess the aliens don't speak English or anything like that.
What?
So.
Wait, Frankenstein's monster in the black and white films? I thought he was red.
Wow. Throwback to like 20 minutes ago.
Twitch watches Frankenstein.
Hell yeah.
They should do more Twitch watches things. I kind of just for the chat. Honestly, they did like a Yu-Gi-Oh one as well at one point. So
Twitch watches Inevitable.
Twitch listens to Inevitable.
Oh no. Oh no. Twitch listens to Trust Your Doctor.
Yeah.
They can get through the first 30 episodes, 40 episodes.
Twitch listens to Triple Play.
How the heck do they even get, like, permission to do those? Like, how did the Twitch get permission to, like, broadcast Doctor Who? You know? It's just like, if you watch a movie on Twitch, like, you will get banned, you know?
Yeah. Unless you're making hella money for Twitch, I guess.
I think it's the opposite, actually. Like, if you're getting popular and you're watching movies, the only way to watch movies or like watch shows or anything like that on Twitch is if you're really flying under the radar and you have like one person in your stream or zero. I don't know. Whatever. I don't even use Twitch. I've used it a couple times, but like, yeah, I try and just stay far away from it. So, given the I guess infamy and culture of the site.
Yeah, I've pretty much mainly watched improv shows on there. I rarely use Twitch. I've participated in Jackbox games on there several times. Those were fun.
Just the name alone, I don't know, makes it sound like diseased or something.
Like, imagine if the website had been titled Cringe instead. That'd be even worse.
Yeah.
Cringe.tv.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah, Cringe TV. Time for my daily dose of Cringe TV.
Well, speaking of Cringe TV, where were we in this episode? We're with Mrs. O'Connor.
You know, she just gets a lot of scenes that feel very similar to one another, and throughout these scenes you see the alien building what looks to be some sort of transmitter.
Mm. But it's actually just a Lego construction. It actually has no purpose whatsoever. No, I'm just kidding. It's Mega Blocks.
It's Connects. I don't know how that came rushing to mind. You know, I haven't thought of Connects since I was like 7 years old. But just goes to show you the depths of
just
the human
making
mind.
bionicles.
And the
enclaves.
We could watch Bionicle for Inevitable. It's a sci-fi series,
What?
right?
Hell yeah.
They're robots.
Well, yeah, there are like a few movies. I remember really liking the first, one, and then I watched I watched a little bit of it like a year or two ago, and it still looks really good, surprisingly.
Yeah, the first one was freaking dank.
I barely remember anything about the second one. I just remember thinking, oh, the characters I enjoyed in the first one aren't in this. Okay.
There's actually like a lot of question in the Bionicle universe over whether or not they are robots or if they're actually organic beings, Keon.
Excuse me.
Yeah. I'm shaming you for not knowing Bionicle lore.
Yeah, I was never into Bionicle or anything like that.
What? Get out of here. You're off the podcast. This is a Bionicle podcast now. It's called, I'm trying to make a pun with the word Bionicle and Inevitable, but Bionevitable. Close enough.
Throwback to when Dylan suggested that you guys should do a CBS Television Universe podcast with MacGyver, Hawaii Five-0, and NCIS.
Man, I can't believe you remember that.
Oh, no, I listened to the episode like yesterday or the day before or something. I can't remember if it was on Zenith or Inevitable.
I know, they kind of just blend together for us as well.
Zenevitable.
Yeah. The crossover event someone asked for, probably.
Well, I don't know. We've probably talked about this before, but I'm not 100% sure if we have. When we were originally conceiving Inevitable, we almost made it like just a continuation of Zenith. We almost just made Zenith like season 1, if that makes sense. Like our Blake 7 season would have just been season 1, and then we would have just continued on that same feed. But we didn't do that, obviously.
Yeah, we wanted to keep the memory.
I know, we wanted to keep Zenith pure because we're like, wow, this is basically the best thing we've put out, and I still believe that to be the case, by the way. And we just didn't want to, like, I don't know, sour that taste. Which I think is good. I think keeping Blake 7 as far away from our coverage of Lex as possible was a good decision.
6 degrees of separation.
Yeah, I mean, like it or not, I actually think Triple Play is the most decorative vegetable out of all your podcasts, because at the heart of Decorative Vegetable, it's you two talking. And Triple Play is the only one where you didn't have any guest people like tainting the concentration of Decorative Vegetable stew.
Damn, Keon, we should go back and record an additional episode of Triple Play for the as yet unreleased final season with some random guest. Just literally anybody.
If Steven agrees to it, I'll record one final episode of Triple Play.
All right, yes, I agree. Like, unironically.
Oh, what have you done, Keon? What have you done?
All right, I'm all for it. Only Dylan can shut this down now. It's on you. If you're okay with it, I'm 100% for this. We just have to figure out what.
So the episode.
Oh my God.
So Ed Straker is sitting anxiously in his office and has basically come up with this theory that he sends Sky 1 to test. Sky 1, whatever. I don't know why it's called Sky 1 when it's a submarine, but whatever.
No, Skydiver is the submarine. Sky 1 is the thing that launches from the submarine.
Wow, I've had it backwards for 3 weeks. Anyway...
I might have just said it backwards, actually. I'm not entirely sure.
I just keep thinking of Sky TV, so yeah.
His theory is that the UFO that was coming in faster, that potentially crashed, was running away from the other UFO, and that it crashed because it was shot down by the other UFO. Mm-hmm. So Skydiver, Sky 1, whatever, Skydiver, George Carlin...
Yes,
goes to investigate.
I just looked it up. Skydiver is the sub, and Sky 1 is the jet thing that launches from the sub.
Good to know. Skydiver goes to investigate. They take a bunch of pictures and somehow like immediately develop all of them. I guess they have a photo lab on Skydiver. This is something that I thought was kind of hilarious in Exposed, actually, that they have like the technology to go to the moon. They have basically an easily accessible moon base. They have interceptors that they can fly through space. They have a submarine that can launch fighter jets, and they're still using like film photography. They haven't invented digital photography yet.
Retro future, baby. 1970, or actually it takes place in the 80s, but whatever.
But yeah, so Straker looks at these and he's like, yeah, I don't see a body anywhere. And then this is basically when the alien sets up a little transmitter in Mrs. O'Connor's house.
Oh, we should mention that, like,
transmits.
Yeah, we should mention that, like, part of Straker's theory, right, is that the alien that was running away was defecting. And so...
Yeah, that feels like a little bit of a leap. But, well, I guess he only really comes up with the defection theory after he starts transmitting on their frequency, and he's like, well, like, why would the alien give away his position unless maybe he's trying to defect?
Right. Yeah, and they don't say that, like, as a sure thing. They're just like, if this is the case, then we need to make contact with this guy.
In a way, the vibe I kind of got from this was Straker just trying to look for some good news in his, like, day of, like, crap, basically.
I know, his terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day.
Like, it kind of feels like Straker's grasping for straws for, like, anything that's, like, good news.
Mm-hmm. Because this is the point in the episode, right, where Freeman comes in, and he just delivers, like, this hammer blow that he doesn't even know is a hammer blow. Because, like, he walks in and he's talking about using, a good bulk of Shadow's fleet, I guess, to deal with the situation.
They're like land crawlers.
Right. They deploy the mobiles, which we've seen in the intro multiple times, but I don't think we've seen them in action in any episode yet. I think this is the first time for me in Dylan's order, at least.
I believe so.
Mm-hmm. He's like, we need to deploy these, so he ends up diverting the plane that Straker was using to get the drugs to his son.
And Straker's like, you did what? But then, like, neglects to tell Alec. Maybe because, well, Alex says, did I do something wrong? And Straker says, well, it's always a question of priorities.
And credits.
Yeah, exactly.
Roll credits. But, like, maybe, I don't know, maybe Straker knows that if he told Freeman that it had, like, life-saving drugs for his kid on board, that he would then basically unilaterally make the decision not to divert the transport. And, like, I don't know, maybe he doesn't want to do that. I'm not sure.
I think you're...
Just kind of weird that Straker doesn't really ever mention what's going on.
No, I think you're pretty much right in saying that, or it's at least close to what it's kind of depicting, which is that, like, he knows that in his position as the head of Shadow, he can't rightly do what you just said. Nor can he rightly, like, expect his subordinates to be okay with him doing that, even though it's clear that probably Alec would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Alex, like, his actual friend, like, outside of work.
Right.
Like, Alex sees that... Glad they toned down the misogyny for now, possibly. I don't know. But Alec, like, recognizes that Straker is like, something's on his mind and, like, offers to go get lunch with Straker to try to take his mind off of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, then Straker calls the hospital and he's like... He has to tell his wife that there's been a delay in getting the drugs there. And she's like, what do you mean there's been a delay? Our son's gonna die.
Mm-hmm. And he has a conversation as well with Stephen Rutland. I forget what they say, but that happens.
Just talking about sports, perhaps.
I know, they're not even talking about it.
Ludicrous display last night.
Ludicrous, yeah.
Not the reference I was making,
but
I'm hoping someone out there who listens to the podcast got my reference. That I'm not going to explain.
No, yeah, I got that. Fast and Furious, yeah.
Yeah, so Straker's feeling the heat right now. So he basically goes and tells them that as soon as that transport is unloaded, they need to take off and get back on flying towards London.
Yeah, and then so you see the mobiles rolling out as slowly as possible.
You're like, okay, guys, like, yeah, show no haste, you know, show no sense of urgency.
Hey, man, that's the English way.
Well, just blanket insulting an entire like subsect of our fandom.
I know. I can't believe I'm like digging into like the British and the English as subset of the British in this episode so much when I literally have no right to do so.
Just ban Keon from the call.
Don't you know that Boris Johnson himself listens to our podcast and as Prime Minister of the UK, he's going to ban you from the UK, Keon.
Yeah, that's people don't know, but that's actually why he never has time to comb his hair. Is because he's too busy listening to us. Sorry, that's the only thing I know about Boris Johnson. Is like his haircut that like when both he and Trump were in office, like made Trump's hairstyle look decent.
Yeah, I guess that just proves we probably shouldn't try and make political satire about countries we know nothing about the political system of.
Exactly. But not things, not being appropriate to say has really never stopped us in the past. So just let that be a precedent for the future, I guess.
Yeah, suppose you're right on that one.
Why amend things that are, potentially wrong when you can just keep doing them?
I'm not sure about that.
Straker approves this message.
Well, so John dies.
Okay,
he just kicks the bucket.
You're skipping. Okay, wait a minute. No. That's the very end of the episode. You're skipping the whole resolution to the alien plotline.
Yeah, the resolution of the Daleks.
So. Wow. They're trying to, basically triangulate where the transmission is coming from for the, for the alien. And they eventually kind of nail it down, and they're trying to get to the alien. Unluckily for them, the other UFO returns. And again, the interceptors...
it just comes careening in. And
again, the other interceptors fail to intercept. What is their job? And the UFO is just freaking 360 no-scopes the alien from outer orbit.
Yeah.
Classic UFO.
It just nukes the surface of the Earth in its entirety.
And then, having received this news, Straker rushes to the hospital. And now, for me, I thought it was unclear whether or not the drugs had ever even arrived in London. Did we never saw the transport take off from Western Island? So, did the transport even take off? I don't know. But Straker rushes to the hospital, only to get there just as Mary comes out weeping that John is dead, and then she says she never wants to see Ed again.
Does she actually say that John is? Is there any line that indicates John is dead? Because if not, then there's room for doubt.
No, I guess not. But the doctor comes out, makes eye contact with Ed, and then shakes his head no.
That could mean any number of things. He's not necessarily dead.
What's that line from American Dad? It was heavily implied.
Well, Keon's on the no body, no death train right now.
No, I'm not. I'm just kidding.
Are you? You seemed pretty convinced of this theory before we started recording. Yeah, I'm just outing the pre-recording conversations we had.
No, I'm just a good liar.
That could mean he's a bad liar if that in itself is a lie.
Yeah, Keon's the worst liar I've ever met. So.
But yeah, Suzanne Neve or however it's pronounced. I thought her acting was very convincing here. I thought the sorrow was done really well. When she yells, "I never want to see you again," and it just it really feels like it hits Straker right there, with the look on his face, and you hear her crying echoing, which makes it even more haunting, having the normal end credit thing we get of zooming out from the Earth. Because of what preceded it, that felt more haunting to me here.
This is a very Adric and we'll never know if he's right. Smash zoom out, silent no music credits as we all process that everybody's favorite companion just died.
I liked Adric. I'm just gonna put that out there.
Oh my god. You want more superhero movies? You like Adric? Why do we keep inviting you on this podcast? I don't even think we really disliked Adric that much. We just became a bit of a decorative vegetable meme at this point.
I actually did dislike him that much. But I agree completely, Stephen. Throughout the entire thing, in the back of my mind, or maybe not in the back of my mind, maybe in 4 of it, but what's her face? Suzanne Neve is like is like considerably better as an actor than anyone else in this episode. Like,
Well,
kind
hey.
of.
Hey, Ed Bishop there. Ed Bishop is also pulling a pretty good performance here.
Yeah, he is. He just doesn't. The script doesn't give him room to emote as it shouldn't. But like, yeah, she's pretty good. She's pretty good.
Yeah, Bessie was the real MVP in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, you might say that as a joke, but I don't think it was. I don't think it was a joke.
Wow. Interesting
So-
opinion, Keon.
So, should we talk about the extended ending that didn't make it to the final cut?
Nah.
No. Yeah, so the Jerry Anderson website has basically claims that there was an extended ending to this. They show a picture of Ed Straker meeting Mrs. O'Connor, which is the only evidence that this ending was actually filmed. Apparently the original negatives have been lost, but the script still survives. And basically this alternate ending just kind of like bluntens the blow to Straker, because it's basically after where the episode ends presently, and Straker goes to basically talk with Mrs. O'Connell about the fact that she met an alien, and Mrs. O'Connell talks about how she knew the alien was a good man and wouldn't hurt her, and she didn't feel in danger. And then she basically says that Straker was a good man too.
Yeah,
He
just like the
compares-
12th Doctor.
He oh my God. He says something about her blindness. Let me just skim it really quick. He says like Mrs. O'Connor has a line, "Oh no, I don't understand what it was all about, but when you're blind, somehow nature compensates. You develop other senses."
And that was her
Which-
sense for him being a good man.
Yeah, this ending does also kind of remind me of Red Dragon. But I think the episode is better without it. Like, I would have been fine with this ending being used in like a later episode if this were like a recurring thing that is revisited. But I feel like this episode is more bold and powerful, like without this extended ending.
I thought you were gonna say
as touching as it was.
I thought you were going to say a recurring thing that constantly happens to Straker. Like, he just keeps...
No, like a recurring as in it's like
Just
a trauma that he's experienced.
He keeps losing children, they keep dying on his watch, like that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, they keep like introducing more children of his we didn't know about.
No, but I agree that the episode is stronger as it's aired. It's more of... I think it underscores more the fact that Straker's job is difficult, and that he makes the wrong choice sometimes, to some detriment. It also just kind of is like a really adventurous ending for a show to really go for it and just end on like a downbeat note.
Yeah,
And
I was legit surprised.
Kind of got to respect that, kind of got to respect that. I do like the other ending just because I feel bad for Straker, though. Like, I feel bad for Straker.
Right, but like they could have repurposed that in a later episode, which they didn't, unfortunately.
I guess Straker's just a bad man.
Oh well.
Oh well. Oh well.
I mean, if you're like in charge of something called Shadow, that already sounds really shady.
Yeah, literally.
We work in the shadows to serve the light. Don't mind me just casually dropping an Assassin's Creed reference on the podcast.
Oh, I still haven't seen that movie yet.
I was more referencing the games, although I have seen the movie.
Yeah, I've played most of the first game, but toward the end, there was this mission that was too tough for me to beat, so I just never finished it.
I know that's like, when you mention something like, I don't know, The Great Gatsby, and someone's like, oh yeah, I love that movie. Something that's more famous as a book, and then they just...
Yeah, with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, as Nick, right? He played Nick, right? Or did he play Gatsby?
He played Gatsby.
Okay, my bad. I never watched the movie, probably thankfully.
Yeah, good.
Well, which movie? I guess the Leo DiCaprio one. But I assume you've never seen the Robert Redford one either, have
I've never seen any movie of it.
I thought you were about to... I've never seen any movie. I don't believe in movies.
I don't believe in movies unless they move me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, I guess, was there anything else? I don't know. What the hell is going on here?
What?
Okay, never mind. Okay, sorry, my bad. Was there anything else you guys wanted to mention? I think I kind of hit on the stuff that I wanted to talk about personally.
No, yeah, I think this is one of the best episodes of the show. I feel like we summed up why pretty well.
Yeah, it hits definitely, I think this goes without saying, but might as well just say it anyway. It's like it definitely hits a more why the hell not? It hits like a more emotion. It hits more emotional notes than most episodes of UFO. And that's okay. They don't really need to get emotional, but this one does, and that's why it kind of stands out.
Yeah, other favorite episodes of mine include Mindbender, Time Lash, and The Long Sleep, but it'll be a while before you guys get to those.
Wow. I do like how I read about Time Lash on Animag Zone's ranking of the UFO episodes, because they put Time Lash as number 1, and then they the Animag Zone spends the first half of their review talking about how Time Lash was actually just a complete ripoff of an episode of another show called The Outer Limits, and The Outer Limits had already sued Terminator for ripping them off.
Nice.
And
wait, didn't Terminator come in the 80s though? Or
yeah. So The Outer Limits was a show from the it was before UFO even, and they sued Terminator for ripping them off, but then they didn't sue UFO, and the Animag Zone says that this is probably because the UFO episode is just like so many million times better than the Outer Limits episode that it's basically ripped off of.
Yeah, okay, I got it. I think I've only seen like a more recent version of The Outer Limits.
I've only seen a more recent version of Terminator. The only Terminator movie I've seen is the one with Matt Smith in it. I don't remember what that one was called.
Terminator Genesis.
Yeah. Also, yeah, Steven, you probably watched the 1995 revival of The Outer Limits. I just looked it up. It originally aired in 1963 and then was revived in 1995.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Might as well put it on the list. Hey, why the hell?
Oh, God.
There are no outer limits to what you can include in the list.
Well, there are. It just depends how much we want to bend the rules.
They're just widening as time goes on, is the thing.
Yeah, we move the goalposts pretty constantly.
Yeah. So I guess we can go into...
that's actually pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was saying the same thing. We can pretty much just go into our segments here. Which I'm still not clear if our Strakers, what is it? Dumb Order of the Week or whatever the heck it was is an actual segment, but hey, why not?
It can be if we want it to be.
This entire episode
it could just
is just that.
The segment could just instead be, how does UFO beat up Straker this week?
It doesn't always, though. It's like, with an episode like Exposed, it's not really relevant. So I guess it could be in either or.
I mean, it could be Foster showing up with a gun and threatening to kill Straker.
Wasn't that Straker showing up with
a
gun and threatening to kill? Whatever, it doesn't matter. But this entire episode was really just Straker giving a bad order that he didn't know it was a bad order, and it was just his undoing at the end, or rather his son's.
Yeah, maybe it should be Shadow's questionable order of the week, and it can just be Freeman questionably diverting the transport, even though he didn't know he shouldn't have.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then if there's no if there's actually nothing to fall back on for it, we can just not fall back on. If there's actually nothing to actually say for it, we can just fall back on Freeman, doing some workplace harassment.
Freeman's workplace harassment of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, questionable priority of the week, I guess.
God damn it. Anyway, actors. There were some in this. Just a couple.
There were some in this. Amazing.
Just a few.
No, they were in fact all played by Ed Bishop.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, this was actually a preempting what's it called? What is it? What is that movie / series where Tyler Perry just plays okay.
Tyler Perry's Medea.
Yes, Medea, yeah.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go the Eddie Murphy route. What? He does that in some of his movies too.
Oh, really?
Playing multiple characters.
Okay.
Well, let's talk about some actors then. I guess I'll start with John Rutland.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of, actually. I'm trying to think. Okay, whatever. Sorry, just move on. My bad.
Barnaby Shaw plays John Rutland. This was not his first acting credit, believe it or not. His first acting credit was House of Cards. And then he was in Journey to the Unknown and Journey into Darkness. And then UFO. He was in the 1972 War and Peace TV show. The Pallisers, Edward the King, 1975. And that's it. He stopped acting after 1975.
Should I go next? I'll just go next.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, all right. I looked up Suzanne Neve, who played Mary, Straker's ex-wife. She started acting in the early 60s in a series and movies such as The Balloon and the Baron, Hurricane, Dixon of Dock Green, Man of the World is Zed Cars. She was in an episode of Zed Cars in 1962. Smuggler's Bay, The Saint, Sherlock Holmes 1965, The Big Spender, The Hunchback of Notre Dame 1966, The Forsyte Saga, Portrait of a Lady. What else here? UFO. She's in another episode of UFO, as was mentioned by Steven, the one and only Steven Shinder. She was in Shadows of Fear, Thriller, Parables, The Law Center. Her final role was in Spooky, a TV series from 1983. Or rather, the episode she was in was in 1983, but yeah. Still alive, seemingly. Just hasn't acted in 40 years.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they don't mention on screen, then could still be alive.
According to IMDb, she doesn't have a death date on IMDb, so I don't know. Yeah, she's still alive, according to Wikipedia. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it must be true, right? Okay, go on. I'll stop talking.
So I looked up Mary Merrill, who played Mrs. O'Connor. She was born 1890, started acting in 1916 with Fatal Fingers. Later on, she was in Squadron Leader X, which sounds sci-fi, but apparently it's a World War II spy film. Pygmalion, the TV movie version, apparently. Judgment Deferred. I'm just like scrolling up through these. She was in an episode of something called Wacko. No idea what that is.
Wow, that's Wacko.
From the Animaniacs.
Yeah, she's been in a bunch of things, like ITV Play of the Week. She has a few credits from that. Also Beware of the Dog. Oh, she was in an episode of Z Cars,
Nice.
The Collector Part 2.
Z Cars.
Yeah. Yeah, she was in 2 episodes of The Avengers. That's the British Avengers, not the Marvel team. She was in UFO, of course. She was in something called Who Killed the Cat? I guess she didn't watch
Curiosity?
The Cat with 10 Lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And her last credits were in ITV Sunday Night Theater. She has a couple credits from that. And yeah, she passed away in 1973, so a couple years after UFO.
Interesting that she was born in the 1800s. I think she's maybe the first person on UFO, probably maybe even the last one to have been born in the 1800s.
Well, I guess you'll have to look up every actor who's ever been on the show now.
Nah. So I looked up Philip Maddock, who played Stephen Rutland. He has a very prolific acting career. One of those big British actors. He comes up pretty constantly on Doctor Who because he's been on Doctor Who like 4 times. So his last acting role was in 2011 in Hawk. He actually passed away in 2012. So anyway, but he's in Midsummer Murders, Doctors, A Mind to Kill, The Cruel Sea, the TV movie of Macbeth from '98. The Bourne Identity TV miniseries that we watched for Triple Play.
Oh my god.
Let's see, what else in here? Cowboys. Spy! His roles on Doctor Who include The Power of Kroll, The Brain of Morbius, The War Games as the Warlord, and The Crotons. Target, Emmerdale Farm, Alien Attack, Horizon, Crown Court, Space 1999. He's in an episode of Space 1999, so I guess we have that to look forward to. Mm-hmm. The Goodies, which I only know of because one of the other Doctor Who podcasts also has a Goodies podcast. Yep. He was in The Rivals of Sherlock Holmes.
Hey.
I think somebody else was in that, weren't they?
Yeah. What's her face? Suzanne Neve was in it.
He's actually on UFO again as a completely different character. Later on, Z Cars, Manhunt, The Assassination Bureau, The Avengers, the British TV show, a TV movie called The Secret Agent, The Saint, ITV Play of the Week, Dalek Invasion Earth 2150 AD. Hey!
Mm-hmm. Yep. We've watched that.
The Count of Monte Cristo, The Monsters, Top Secret, and his first acting credit was in 1961 in a TV series called Amelia. So he has actually all in all 144 acting credits.
Wow, one gross.
What?
That is a gross, actually. You're right. That is one gross.
What?
Who uses grosses anymore, Steven? What the hell?
Hey, I only know because The Lord of the Rings, okay?
The new one?
Well, to alleviate Keon's confusion, in English and related languages, several terms involving the word great or gross relate to numbers. A gross refers to a group of 144 items. A dozen.
Hell yeah.
A great gross is a group of 1728 items. Basically, a dozen gross.
Well, alrighty then.
That's why there's that limerick. It's like, what is it? A dozen, a gross, and a score, or something.
I have no idea what you're talking about. But okay.
Making stuff up on a podcast. Who does that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a mathematical limerick. A dozen a gross and a score plus 3 times the square root of 4 divided by 7 plus 5 times 11 is 900 and not a bit more. Or 9 squared and not a bit more. Sorry, I misread that line.
Look, man, I barely passed algebra. You're losing me here.
It was invented by Lee Mercer, who is best known for devising the palindrome, a man, a plan, a canal, Panama.
Oh, shoot.
All right, that's enough of that. If you'd like to email us, I'm assuming we have no... Wait, we might have comments.
Yes,
do we have social media comments?
Yes, we do for once. The one time you skip it is the one time we actually do. We have a Facebook.
This is not the one time I've skipped it, and nor is it the one time I've skipped it and we've actually had comments.
Look, just roll with it. So, okay, we have this comment on Facebook here from Donna Perkins. Simply commenting, loved that show on our most recent episode that we've posted. Thanks, Donna. We're loving it too.
Thanks, Donna. All right, now I can. If you'd like to email us, you can reach us at thedoctor@decoratevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters. Your thoughts on UFO. You can find us at Decorative Vegetable on YouTube and at Inevitable on other podcasting platforms. So, Steven, how about you tell us where we can find you?
Yeah, so... Sorry.
Caught you off guard.
Got him. Okay, so you can find me at Steven Shinder on Instagram and Twitter, Steven Shinder Storytelling on Facebook. You can go to stevenshinder.com for info on my novel Lemons on My Rain. And the next book, Trespassing Through the Visages, is coming out sometime later this year, hopefully in the summer. So if you follow any of those places, you'll know. I also have a podcast called Delayed Replay, where we pretend that the movies that got delayed or perhaps canceled came out on time or at all in that podcast's universe. I had Keon on the most recent episode that came out, which is the Men in Black version of the movie that in this universe comes out before the 1997 one and has Clint Eastwood as Agent K and Chris O'Donnell and David Schwimmer both as Agent J. And I'm also on a podcast called Yes Shift. I do that one with my dad. We talk about the progressive rock band Yes and some related people and bands and such. We actually have an interview coming up with one of their former keyboardists, Oliver Wakeman. That one will be out on March 26th. And yeah, we've interviewed a couple other people, so you can find us on pretty much any podcasting platform. You could go to anchor.fm/YesShift and see the audio places we're on, or go to facebook.com/YesShift and see the video versions. I was also recently on Mr. Multiverse's podcast. It's called The Requalizers, and it's on his Patreon, basically talking about, like, what if a movie got a requel today, so it's like it's only a sequel to the original, ignoring the other sequels. And we talked about Jaws, and that was fun. And yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. So yeah, thanks again for having me on. I actually realized the other night that this is my first time on Inevitable. I guess in my head I was thinking like Torchwood was part of Inevitable, but it totally isn't, despite it being darker, and I just associated that with the logo's color scheme in my head, I guess.
Torchwood kind of feels... I actually have that thought too sometimes, like our coverage of Torchwood kind of felt like it was on Inevitable and not Trust Your Doctor.
Yeah, like I don't associate it with the comfy TARDIS blue logo of Trust Your Doctor for whatever reason.
Well, as always, thanks for being on, Steven.
Yeah, thanks for being on.
And yeah, you can check us out on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us out on Twitter at TYD Podcast. And follow us on Twitter. And next time, we're going to be watching... hang on here. I want to bring up the little one-sentence episode summary that I usually read. Next time, we're going to be watching ESP. A man with ESP knowledge of Shadow is co-opted by the aliens. But until then, the end.